Hi, here is ZAPY Speaking. This is our new video. Usually we compare two comedians together. And today we're still doing the same thing. But one is comedian Jimmy Kimmel, and the other one is a lawyer. Now you might question what is happening here. Ray is not known to be funny, but this one makes some really hilarious answers and response for all the wrong reason when he was asked about the case Matt Gaetz is in. He's in some whole world, he's in some serious trouble. We're not discussing the law parts about this case. We're looking at to discuss how to respond to a serious question and what not to do to make yourself look like a total mess. And today with me is Aaron, our award-winning speaker at Vancouver region. Aaron, do you have anything you want to say about this video we're going to show to our audience?
I think the main thing to look for is the main thing to think about rather is that answering questions is something we all have to do. We all have to answer difficult questions. We all have to answer questions we did or didn't expect in many different situations. And if you practice the skills necessary, it can be really easy and you can come off as really capable and intelligent. If you don't have the skills necessary, or if you flub these questions, you could end up making a fool of yourself in front of literally millions of people, as this lawyer did. So let's figure out how we can potentially do a little better than this guy might have done.
Let's roll the tape.
Does Matt Gaetz have anything to worry about?
Does Matt Gaetz, that is such a
when it comes to what happened today in court,
does he have anything to worry about? And you're asking me to get into the mind of Matt Gaetz, right? And
well, from your mind.
From my mind.
Based on what your client knows.
Based on what my client knows. Okay. I'm sure Matt Gaetz is not feeling very comfortable today. Right?
Yeah. I think he gets paid by the hour is what happens. Now might be a fun time to remind people of this tweet Matt Gaetz posted just before Michael Cohen testified in Congress about his former boss, Donald Trump. Hey, Michael Cohen, do you and your wife and father-in-law know about your girlfriends? Maybe tonight would be a good time for that chat. I wonder if she'll remain faithful while you're in prison. She's about to learn a lot. Oh, karma, you old rascal, you.
Client introduced Matt Gaetz to any underage girls for sexual relations.
All right, so I'm just going to let you sit down there, and so I can look over your head and ignore that question.
All right, well, at least he's having fun with this. Well, good luck to Matt Gaetz. Maybe he just loves Trump so much he wants to go to jail with him. Is that possible?
Okay, I want to think about basically where Jimmy Kimmel made fun of this lawyer is exactly where the majority of his issues pop up. So he made fun of him for pausing for a long time after hearing the question, for just stopping and holding and slowly repeating points that were said to him. Jimmy Kimmel immediately made fun of that and said, is he paid by the hour? Now, how do you avoid that kind of thing? He actually started to do something you can do, which is repeat the question back, but you have to repeat it back quickly and confidently. You don't say, is Matt Gaetz nervous? No, you say, is Matt Gaetz nervous? That's a great question. And then if you don't want to answer it, you say that you don't want to answer it, which clearly he doesn't want to answer it. That's what he's trying to go through in his head of how do I not answer this question while answering this question? You don't answer it. You just say, that's a great question. I can't answer that at this time, and move on. If he is going to answer it, you need to do so fairly quickly. Too long a pause, and it creates a lot of awkwardness, and it creates a lot of suspicion. And then the instant he paused for that long, I think my immediate gut reaction is, this guy did something. Whether that's his intention or not, the long pause makes me go, okay, so the person he's talking about definitely did something. Is that true? I have no idea. But the long pause is problematic. A couple ways of getting around that. One way is to, like I say, repeat the question and say you don't know the answer. The other option is to give some short filler answer. He could have simply said something, Matt Gaetz isn't comfortable, or say something like, you know, he's not my client. I'm sure he doesn't like what's happening. right? That answer doesn't raise suspicion. It just says, I don't really know. Here's a vague answer to your question. Give the people something or give them nothing, but make a decision. Don't try and do both, which is what this guy did. The other time Jimmy Kimmel made fun of him was when he made a joke about someone committing a horrific crime. I'm not going to answer that question. That's not an appropriate response. If you make a joke about someone potentially committing a horrible crime, that's not going to look good on you. So you need to think about context. I don't know. He made a lot of mistakes. And I guess the two tips I would give here, think about context. If you're going to laugh at someone committing a terrible crime, be ready to be murdered on social media. And the other is, if you're going to not answer a question, don't answer it. If you're going to answer it, but don't try and do both, which is what this guy tried to do. And he got made fun of for it, which I'm going to be honest, he kind of deserved it.
Yeah, that is really great analysis. The trick here is always how to handle this unexpected question. And we all come across this a lot in our professional life. When you go to a conference to a presentation, you will be asked a question. So one technique some people do when they execute it well is repeating the question. And that is a smart way to do so for two reasons. First, it gives you time to think. Second, you paraphrase that in a way both the people ask questions and you are understanding in the middle ground. But then, like everyone said, the trick is to the confidence, especially for the short answer. A short question, just 3-4 words phrase is really hard to repeat it in a way that can make sense. So in this case, when it's a short, direct question, you basically take a pause. If you need to, be quick and then give an assertive answer. And the key here is to be confident and know what you are saying. What Roy did, laughing right after the answer is not the way to do. It's a perfect way to make a comedian joke of it, but not the right way to be taken seriously, especially when the stake is quite high in this interview. The second case here is, for the second question that we want to is handling, he does not want to answer and he cannot answer it, in all honesty. So he should just say it, not just say, okay, with a smile face and goofy voice, say, okay, you just sit down and look over your head, pretend I didn't hear it. That is come across as a denial. And if you deny something in that kind of sense, people will automatically think that's the opposite might be true. So neither way is not a good way to defend your own ground, to stand on your own ground. So now and then you might ask, okay, what can we do if things are unexpected when I'm so nervous? I don't know how to handle myself. Again, two simple questions, two simple solutions here. First, get practice in. Put yourself often in an uncomfortable situation. Begin with some situation has a lower stake. Some practice talk with your friends, with your family, ask them to ask you all kind of most difficult questions. Make a mistake when the stake is low. And second is in the practice, be calm, be confident when you answer those questions. Even you are freaking out inside, but be confident outside.
Yeah, it's totally true. Practice makes perfect. I think I've spent years working on improvised speaking and I still slip up all the time. But if you get more comfortable with it, it works better. I think a good rubric or a good test rather of finding out if you're ready for it is if you can answer any ridiculous question. And by ridiculous, I mean a question like, if you were a vegetable, what kind of vegetable would you be and why? If you're comfortable answering a question like that, you're comfortable answering anything. So I think it's worth practicing to the point where the absurd doesn't faze you. So when someone asks you a difficult but reasonable question, you're not going to panic.
Yeah. And the other situation to keep in mind here, those journalists are really, really tuned to ask difficult questions in really short words. Yeah. So if you listen to the question there, it's hard and it's only few words. So then making the one practice we usually do in real life is not practical. Because in real life, when people ask you a question, they're usually long and poorly phrased. So that gives you a reason to paraphrase and to make it a shorter sentence or more understandable for all the audience. But in that situation, on this lawyer, he's under big pressure from those really seasoned journalists. And what we can see, he is not handling it well. He's really getting beaten up in this situation. So he's up against some really strong opponent in this case as well.
And you can do things though to extend your time. Like if someone asks you a question that's really difficult, ask them to repeat it. And then you say it yourself. So they say, oh, I'll use a really generic question. What'd you do last weekend? Sorry, what was that? Oh, what did I do last weekend? Right there, you're buying yourself time. If you do it every single time, it looks messed up. But if you do it once or twice, you can buy yourself a lot of time. And then you pause, not for 15 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds, pause. And then you say, interesting question. There's more time. You can buy time in ways that are natural, that don't involve you pausing, staring down at the ground, and slowly saying something. Either way, I've gone on too long. I've done what this lawyer did, and I've said too much or perhaps too little. I think I've said everything I need to say, and I think ultimately the real trick is practice. And that's what anyone who wants to get better at improvised speaking needs to do, is get out and try it.
Yeah.
With that said, thank you all very much. Stay fishy out there and practice your improvised speaking.
Here's ZAPY Speaking. Let's see you next time.